Yes. Is it visible now? I think due to some reason my camera is not showing.
Okay, okay.
What is the
Okay, no
reason? I don't know. There may be some technical reasons. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, yes, it seems like that. Okay, anyway, we'll start the session.
In the meantime, I'm calling my IT guy to see, and we'll start the session. And if
Okay.
possible, he will see.
Okay, okay.
Fine.
Okay, so dear participants, now for the third session, we are having Dr. Hiranmoy Roy. He's a senior associate professor in the department in the School of Business, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun. He will talk on, he's expert of economics, economic affairs, and he's going to talk on the topic turn post-pandemic economic challenges into opportunities. Brief introduction of him. He has written more than 40 papers, published more than 40 papers in different seminars. He has got 30 chapters published in different books, edited volume books. He has written 5 books. He has presented more than 50 research papers in different seminars. And so far, he has produced 6 PhD scholars under him. So with this brief introduction, I would like to request Professor Roy to start his presentation. Sir, time is yours. You may start. And this is a small group of some 28 new faculty members from different parts of India.
Okay.
And they belong to different streams of study. So
Fine.
it's a mixed group of subjects, sir. So yeah, now we start, sir.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Bhartendu, for inviting me to deliver this session to this August gathering of the faculty members. I am sure faculty members are from different background, multidisciplinary background. So we have actually taken a very generic, topic for discussion and for this session. Reason being that will be of interest to all the participants, because all of us are now facing this, challenges of coming out from the pandemic. We have already come out, definitely, but then also there are follow-up several other problems, relating problems in the economy and business. And evidently, post pandemic also we have a important issues like Russia-Ukraine war. So we have a follow-up problem after pandemic, and we actually these problems of post-pandemic problems on economy and business is not over, and it is quite prolonging. So that is why I have taken this topic for discussion. Am I audible to all of you? Can someone put a chat in the chat box if I am audible to? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Fine. Thank you. So I shall briefly discuss some of the theoretical perspective of this linkage among the nations. So so far as global connectivity is concerned, so far as linkage among the nation concerned, there are actually 4 types of connectivity. These are people, information, money, and products. So this is how we are linked to several other countries of the world. The people are linked. We are linked through information. We are linked through transaction of money, and we are linked to transaction of products. So these are the 4 areas of linkage that we have with other countries, that I would say. So during pandemic, these linkages were affected, and these linkages were actually halt for some time. So that is why there are a lot of changes have happened and have been happening. So there are cross-country differences of these impacts of flow of goods and services, and flow of money, and flow of products, right? So if we have smooth flow between the countries, goods and services, money, etc., then one kind of implication. And if we cannot smoothly transaction happens, then there is another kind of implication. So in pandemic and post-pandemic, these flows have been impacted very greatly and very badly, I would say. And apart from these flow of the people, that is tourism flow has also been affected. I have given some figures in my PPT that what is the downfall of the tourism in terms of, in terms of numbers, in terms of rupees, US dollar billion, something has been, got reduced. So these are some of the important aspects of the pandemic that we have been facing for some time, 2021. And we have also seen that top MNCs, 500 MNCs, 5,000 MNCs have actually reduced their profit margins estimations due to this pandemic. So overall, the linkage among the economy in terms of product movement, service movement, people movement, tourism, etc., have been badly affected. And then 5,000 companies have re-estimated their profit at a 30% lower level. So you can understand the broader impact on the macroeconomy, broader impact on the business, broader impact on the employability, etc. That definitely impacts each one of us. Now, as I said, that there are people linkage, information linkage, money linkage, and product linkage. So I would like to see how these linkage actually work, in a globalization or global format. So if I take people, what has happened during pandemic? There are changes in social interaction norms. The way we interact, face-to-face mode gone. We interacted mostly online. And there are a lot of, measures, that wearing of mask, using of sanitizers, and distancing. Most importantly, distance. So our behaviors, social interaction norms changed. And movement of the people from one country to another country, not only one country to another country, it is from one state to other state, or one locality to the, where also in, for some time it was stopped. So these are the people impact, or it is the impact, people impact of, pandemic that has happened. Then we had political hostility. Like migration was stopped. I mean, there was no movement of the people between countries, and even between within the country also. Mobility restrictions were there. And this has resulted in, increase in inequality, unemployment, and social risk. So we have seen that people have lost their jobs. Business houses have suffered. Lower income groups were very hardest hit, got the hardest hit. So these are the people effect or people impact that pandemic has, had those impact on people. Coming to information now, most of the digitalization and acceleration of digitalization trends has happened both in academia, business, and economy. More people are now interacting in an online mode. Earlier, pre-pandemic, there was not much of interaction through digitalization, but now digitalization has happened very largely across the economy and business sectors, and education sector is also not an exception. But then we have seen there are certain restrictions by government on freedom of speech, on media. Even there are changes in the rules and regulations of digitalizations, etc. So government restrictions is also coming, which is creating problem again. New technological solution, etc., are coming. For example, we now talk about AI, ML, metaverse, etc., which are actually trying to make our life easier through an online or digital platform. And this has actually accentuated the inequality. So we have digital haves and digital have-nots. So the wealthy, educated masses in the cities are able to take advantage of this technological innovation, invention, and digitalization. But what about those millions of masses who are actually not having digital access? They don't have even an internet access or a computer device. How, as a economy, will move forward along with this laggard population? That is the challenge in information sharing. Of course, in India, हरेंद्र मेरा जूम नहीं चल रहा है, एक बार एक मीटिंग प्लीज आना मेरे 1414. So so what has happened? These actually has resulted in accentuating inequality, I would say. And now challenge with the government is how we can address these inequalities. If we come to the money front, what has happened? There is an increase in the nationalism. How increase in the nationalism? You see, monetary transaction pre-pandemic and post-pandemic among the nation have actually reduced. People are now more going towards digital currency. You might have heard about cryptocurrency, digital currency, etc., etc. So every nation actually want to nationalize. They don't want to internationalize. So that again stands in the way of international transaction that was very smooth pre-pandemic. Now nations are thinking in another way. Every country have their own digital money. Either it is a formally approved by Reserve Bank of India, or there are certain informal arrangements as well. India also has announced its digital currency very soon. So money transaction, lot of changes has happened, and at an individual level, you see, now we use more digital transaction like purchasing online, paying through Paytm, GPay. So this behavior has gone, it has changed a lot, and we are now very much comfortable with digital money. So for example, even a vegetable vendor, or even a small petty business are also using Paytm, and also our behavior towards transaction of money has gonna change. Definitely demonetization, etc., are the result, but I would say pandemic is a very big reason or factor that has resulted in this kind of changes in the behavior. So we, all of us, we know this, but how we see in a theoretical perspective what is the implication of these changes, and henceforth how we proceed from these challenges. Are these acting as a challenge, or are these acting as a enabler for the economy and the business, and even for educational sector? That we have to actually analyze and understand. So that is why I'm just proceeding with this kind of analysis. So products at the product level, export import level, increase of nationalism. More and more nations are now focusing more on their own products. They are now, there is a reverse trend in the international trade has come from. Earlier it was export and import more. Now it is more restrictions, or we can say there are regionalization, or there are groupings and very few free trade areas. So there are a lot of rearrangement that is happening, and that is leading towards not free trade but protectionism. Now countries prefer to protect and not to internationalize. So if you go for protectionism, you have to rely more on your own products, or within the region, or within the groups. So this sort of these are the fallout from pandemic. Trading blocks have weakened our trading. Say there are several trading blocks across the world, but these blocks are now getting weakened. And one of the, of course, one of the major cause very recently, of course, Russia-Ukraine war. Russia-Ukraine war again has put a lot of problems on the weakening of the trading blocks. Regionalization of trade and investment that has happened, and very importantly, global supply chain ruptures. Supply chain has got a very big hit, or very big jolt. Why I'm telling you? Because a pandemic and post-pandemic, there are lot of face-to-face or physical interactions have been suffering. So in supply chain, definitely there are certain automatic, or auto mode delivery or kind of things. But so far as human interaction in the supply chain is concerned, that was suffered in terms of movement of the products. So that is again an impact of the pandemic. Protectionism, as I said, it has increased, and all these have resulted in the contraction of international trade. So these we just try to theorize impact of pandemic in terms of people, in terms of information, in terms of money, in terms of movement of the products. Now, there are lot many impacts, there are lot many sectors, but all the impacts and all the sectors I just tried to cover through these four parameters, and this is very much common to each and every nation, each and every economy. So this is how I look into the impact of pandemic. If you have any points to be shared, you can keep it with you, or if you have any question to be asked, you can keep it with you. I would be more than happy to interact with you at the end of the session, because if I take up any point in between the session, it will be, a bit difficult for me to further explain. So I shall be happy if you have any question or any points to be shared. We'll have it at the end of the session. Next, so what has happened? You see, movement of tourists. So what has happened to the movement of the tourists? This is WTO data, and if I take the case of Asia, Asian region got the hardest hit of the reduction of tourist movements. It is minus 72 numbers. We have fixed certain numbers region wise, and it is if we say percentage wise, then it is minus 72% reduction in tourist arrivals in Asian countries due to pandemic. So if 72% reduction happens in the tourist arrival, can you imagine what is the revenue or earning, or the foreign exchange earning dropped for each and individual particular country? And it will definitely have effect on our GDP as well as many other business sectors. So these are some of the numbers I have just taken to share with you how this has badly impacted. In India also, different parts of the country which are tourist favorable or tourist destinations were also impacted. So hence it has resulted in several kind of restrictions and lack of movements. Now, if we look into these, so if at the I would focus more on developing countries and more on South Asian countries and the group we called OECD countries, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development countries. Why I'm focusing more on this? Because we are in South Asia, and can we theorize this the innovation? Actually this pandemic has led to several innovation in the technological front, digital front, etc. So how we look at this innovation resulted from the pandemic, and what are the different aspects of this innovation? So I just tried to take up the OECD groupings, and what is their perception on this innovation, how we can actually classify these innovations that has happened post pandemic and during pandemic, and whether these innovations are going to carry forward henceforth from now, and how these innovations are going to benefit us at the economy level, at the individual level. These are my points of discussion today here with all of you. So this innovation I see in at least 4 different types. One is mission oriented innovation. Second is enhanced oriented innovation, and anticipatory innovation and adaptive innovation. Now, I shall discuss all these 4 types of innovation, and I shall also give you examples of all these 4 types of innovation. Now, how does this innovation results in change? One may be a sustaining change, other may be a transformative change. Third, it may be an optimizing the change, and fourth, it may be an disruptive change. So what we have mostly learned during pandemic is actually a disruptive change. We never wanted this change, but we are compelled to change. For example, we are all academicians. You must remember that our all interaction had gone online. We have taken classes online. Many universities conducted their examination online, and there are important meetings happened online. Even many universities conducted their recruitment interviews online. So these are some of the important understanding from education for an education sector. Now, these we never wanted, but we are forced to, or we are compelled to adopt, and that is the disruption has happened, and that's why we are going disruptive change. So out of all these change, sustaining change, optimizing, transformative change, disruptive change was much more prominent during this. So I would tell you what is mission oriented innovation, enhancement oriented innovation, anticipatory innovation, and adaptive innovation. Now, one by one, and I'll also later on give you examples. So mission driven or innovation, it means if you want to achieve a certain goal within certain time, that is mission driven. I have a mission to be achieved within a certain specific time, that is the mission driven innovation. Enhancement oriented innovation means how I can do the same job in a better way. I'm doing certain things, but can I do it in a better way? That is the enhancement oriented innovation. Adaptive innovation means how might our situation demand a changes in how we do X. So we are doing certain things, and for doing these things, how our situation has changed. And if the situation has changed, can we adopt this, or we are facing challenges to adopt this? This is the adaptive innovation. Means innovation has happened, simultaneously our situation has also changed. So whether we are comfortable to adopt this change situation, that is the adaptive innovation. And anticipatory innovation, as the word imply, whether we anticipated or we have not anticipated. So as I said, disruptive innovation, we have not anticipated. So these are the 4 types of innovations: mission driven innovation, enhancement oriented innovation, adaptive innovation, and anticipatory innovation. So out of all these 4 types, I shall give you a few examples. So what is mission driven? Mission driven, it means the most obvious. In COVID-19, we had to get a vaccine. So when search for vaccine or research for vaccine started, you may remember, many countries were making attempts, but it was not coming out. Research was not successful, but it was needed at that point in time, within time, that target. And once it came, once it was innovated or invented, then came the problem of distribution, because your whole supply chain network, transportation, man-to-man interaction was at a standstill. So how we distribute within the nation and beyond the nation, that was a challenge. And we have to do it within a given amount time frame. So this is the mission-driven innovation. So some countries have already innovated COVID-19 vaccine, and many of the countries, India was very, very successful in terms of everything in COVID-19 vaccination. So we have achieved our target numbers. We have distributed the medicine within the country. We have also distributed, foreign countries. So I would say, from an India perspective, our mission is achieved, because we have done a marvelously better job, good job. We have distributed so well across the country, and we have achieved huge amount of dividend out of this. That is the human dividend. So we have done the things in time and in a time bound manner. Of course, there are certain cost implication for this or expenditure involved in it, but that we have done it. That is the upshot of the thing. and this innovation has happened. And this innovation again is an exception, and all the countries could not achieve this, only few of the countries. And very important thing is that public private partnership has happened, and private as well as public have come forward to innovate the product. So far as expenses are concerned, money expenditure was borne by both private parties as well as government. So this is how the mission-driven innovation has happened pre-pandemic or during pandemic. Not pre-pandemic. It is during pandemic. Now, if I come to enhancement-oriented improvements, what happened? For instance, if we take example of getting the vaccine, quarantine, etc. So whether we are able to do it in a very phased and very time bound manner and at our target level, if we have
Professor Roy. Professor Roy. Oh, I think Professor Roy got disconnected, maybe internet related issue. He must be trying to join. Oh, he has joined.
sorry for the disruption. So this is what is the enhancement oriented improvements.
Sir,
If we come to adaptive,
Sir, you
Yeah.
need to reshare because this disconnected your slide.
okay, I'm resharing. Yes, give me a minute, please.
Yeah, yes.
Share, right? It is done, right?
Yes. But not full screen. But
Okay.
Yes, now fine.
Okay. So sorry for the disruption. There was a bit of connectivity issues. So adaptive innovation. So whatever innovation has happened, whether we are able to adapt it, both. So adoption means locally. So in a simple manner, in a locally, can we or adopt it, and is it original? And what kind of challenges we have to adopt this in our locality? Can we adopt all these? That is a problem in the grassroots level, and these innovations at the global level or the national level, whether it is percolating down, benefits are percolating down to the grassroots level or not, and whether people are able to adapt to all these products and situations, and whether there are scarcity of resources to implement all this, because scarcity of resources not only means at the government level, it is also at the private level. When there were no income or there are no, many people suffered job losses, whatever. Now, do you have sufficient resources to cater to these needs at that point in time? So the adoption has two dimensions. One is, of course, social and technological, and the other is financial. So how much adaptive we are, and whether it has a cost implication. For example, we got the PPE kit. So we got the PPE kit, and whether PPE kits are available at the local level, and at what cost. So if you have PPE kit available at a very high cost, which people, low income groups cannot afford, how does this make sense? And if you have a PPE kit which is affordable or at a subsidized price, it is available to the masses, then it makes sense. That is called adaptive innovation. Means adoption has to come both by the government as a facilitator and also as an individual, we have to see how we can adopt this. So this is the adaptive innovations. So why I'm discussing all these four types? Henceforth, whatever innovation will happen forward, looking forward, all these points will come, whether we are able to adjust with all these types of innovation, and which type of innovation actually we are looking for, and which is better for us. That is the point to be derived from this analysis. So so this is adaptive innovation. So in adaptive innovation, we have seen that government and the whole world, now looking forward to a new kind of situation or arrangements that has to come out, and we have already come out from the pandemic, right? So our efforts has happened in a very big way, and we have of course got some results. Now these changes has to happen or has happened at the policy level, not only at the implementation level, but first change is at the policy level. Government has decided certain new set of policies, focused policy innovations at the global, at the national, and at the state level, and these changes are now visible and are now implementable of all these technological. For example, I give an example. If online system is not allowed by UGC, then how an university will be able to conduct online classes or online exams or online meetings or online recruitment process? Now, this is a policy that immediately UGC took as a government body and facilitated all government and private universities. So this is one example. Likewise, there are several other sectors and where policy changes have happened, and policy must come as a supportive to implement these changes. So out of all these four types of innovation, actually policy support has a very important role to play. How we implement and adopt and see these changes. So if I come to, I would now focus more on digitalization, because all of you will agree with me that pandemic, what changes has brought in our life by the pandemic. Of course, there are many changes, but I would restrict myself in one aspects of the change, that is digitalization and adoption of digitalization by the individual, by the business houses, by the government, by the all stakeholders in an economy. So if I say, if I talk about digitalization, now you can see, I have shown you one right hand side data, data. You can see that India lies at a very lower level of digitalization or adoption of digital index, that is around 30. Now, if we see some other countries like UK, USA, South Korea, China, so they are all ahead of us in digital innovation and digital adoption. But India, I would say, we are not very, advanced compared to many other developed nations in the digitalization. We are at the middle range. We are at the middle range of adoption of digitalization. However, there is a huge growth potential. There are at least 90% growth potential is there in the digitalization of, index in India. Second, coming to the different aspects of the digitalization. So where digitalization has happened, it is, infrastructure, digital infrastructure. So if we talk about internet and telephone, it is the infrastructure basically, or mobile infrastructure. So our devices like Android, mobile, laptop, desktop, everything is connected through internet, and we have all the kind of access of information and also digital information. So in this connectivity, what is more important is data. Whether I have information and the data available through this connectivity. For example, for a business or for a business house, what we need, connectivity is needed, digital platform is needed, but at the same time, we should have data backup and data information based on which we will actually make a decision or will actually have a business decision. So data availability at a digital platform is needed. Then second is apps and content. Applications. Every day, each one of you will open your mobile and go to the Google Play Store and will download several apps. I give you another example. For example, now you must be watching Football World Cup. Yesterday night, there are two matches played between. One second match was between uh, Canada and Ecuador. So what we have seen in the World Cup match, one of the edutech company, which is known as Byju's. Byju's is a very big edutech company, and I have seen Byju's advertisement is very prominent in the World Cup field. And what I realize from this is that Byju's is a company which is actually providing educational services and educational products at different ages of Indian masses, both school students, college students, and university students, I think, as well as for the professionals. So all these services and products, educational services and products that Byju's is giving, it is through a digital platform, it is through an online platform. And for these, I'm sure some Byju's app is also needed, right? So that is the understanding. If you want to digitalize, you need data, you need information, you need apps. Of course, certain apps are costly or you need to pay for it, and certain apps are freely available. That is fine. So in digitalization, there are several aspects of infrastructure and availability. So we need connectivity, we need hardware, we need software, we need apps. Then along with this, we also have to have affordability issue. Can we afford? So the issue of haves and have nots, digital haves and digital have nots that I raised, at least in India. What is the percentage of population can afford these? That affordability issue is there. So if we want to provide these digital services, and digitalization has to go deeper, then cost effectiveness has to be seen, and that will not only from the provider's perspective, but government also has to play a role in terms of an regulator. It has to regulate the business and regulate the digitalization and digital business and digital platforms, and it has to make it affordable to each and every individual in the country. So that is a challenge, affordability issue. Then comes another very important issue is e-governance platforms. Now, as more and more digitalization is happening, e-governance issues are happening. I shall give you a good example at the global, not at the global, at the India level, but it is a good, example of governance. All of you know that Google is a very big, uh, company, and Google apps. All of you, as I said, all of you are using Google apps. Now, last month, what happened in the month of, I think, in the month of October, mid of October, or third week of October, there was a case filed against Google by Competition Commission of India, and uh, Google was fined, Indian counterpart of the Google was fined with a 936 crores of penalties. Now, what was the case? Just I am telling you. It is a governance issue. That's why I am giving this example here. Google apps, when all of us are using Google apps or download apps from the Google apps. Now, certain apps are, you have to pay for it. So if you want to pay for it, then questions comes, which payment system you follow to pay for it. So we have several payment system, like we have GPay, we have Paytm, several XYZ apps or financial systems by which we can pay. But what happened, Google company has restricted the payment. If you purchase one app from Google app, then you have to pay or you have to make the payment through only their financial apps, that is Google Business Payment System, GBPS. It is called GBPS, Google Business Process System Payment, GBPS. So GBPS was made mandatory to make a payment when you are downloading an app. So it has actually killed the competition among the financial providers, fintech providers, because you should keep it open for all the players in the market. But Google has restricted only to GPBS. So this is an anti-competitive. Anti-competitive means it will kill competition because you are not allowing others to compete. You are only facilitating GBPS, which is a Google system, Google's own finance.
Dr. Roy, Dr. Roy, you're not audible.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, now audible, yes.
Sorry. So e-governance has actually raised lot of issues. Like if I percolate down to an university system wherein if university is not vigilant on each and every digital platforms that is being used, and a transaction or information sharing or data sharing is happening. So are we following UGC guidelines and regulations in the information sharing and every aspects of our transactions and transactions with our stakeholders like students, and whether students are also following these guidelines or not? For example, if I talk about online exam, now, online exam, if you many universities have conducted online exam. Now, online exam does not mean that a online exam does not imply that a you know in a laptop a student will appear in an exam and he or she can copy anything from Google. So how will you detect that? So in the online education system, a what it is called plagiarism software was enabled. This is one part of the thing. Second, proctorial mode of examination was enabled. Means there will be, of course, a faculty invigilator who is called proctor, and he will be allowed access to the camera and devices to proctor the class sitting in the exam online. And there are certain guidelines that you cannot move from your table for a certain amount of time, and camera is to be movable 360-degree, so that proctor can see where are you sitting, whether you are copying, whether you are using your mobile. And for that 3 hours you cannot go for a toilet. So those are some of the governance issues what I'm saying. So don't you suppose that it has again this digital platform or digital, whichever institutions are using it, has got again a digital or e-governance issues. So what I am now challenge we are facing now, there are a lot of e-governance issues both at the global and national and state level are happening. So these are the challenges of the digitalization. Of course, digitalization has made our life easier, it is smoothened, but there are challenges, and there are challenges of affordability, there are challenges of governance. If I focus on social media, I need not to discuss so many things about social media. You must be knowing that every now and then there are a lot of problems happening in the social media. Some news is being broadcasted which is supposed not to be broadcasted in the public. Some antagonization of info several kind of information. So how social media is operating, whether they are following the guidelines, government guidelines or not, and if it is a digital media, whether digital media are following these guidelines or not. This is what is the whole issue or whole challenge that we have. Now, next thing about digitalization is that I'm just restricting myself in the discussion of digitalization only, as I said, because many aspects of the COVID fallout we cannot touch upon with this time. So I have restricted only in the digitalization part. If we see India's digitalization index, so where we stand in terms of digitalization, as I said, we are at the mid level of achievement, not at the very high level of achievement. However, our progress or our, we have a very high growth targets for this digitalization, that we can go ahead because we have good infrastructure, we have good human resources for to enable the digitalization, and hence we can achieve huge amount of growth in this area. Currently, we are targeting by 2025 around 18 to 23% of our GDP has to come from our digital economy. So if 23% of our GDP comes from digital economy or digital aspects, can you imagine what kind of boost that digitalization already has happened and will henceforth it will happen. And hence we must be mentally, physically, infrastructure wise, financially, and governance wise. In 4 ways we must be ready now. We have to be mentally ready, You cannot say I will not use this or I will not adopt this. So non-adoption does not arise. So you have to mentally agreeable to it or have to be adaptable to it. Second, resources, both money resource and both human resource. How trained your manpower is in the digital platform to operate or to interact or to perform certain kind of function. That is again a matter of skill and training. Second, financing part or cost part, whether you have ample amount of money by the government as well as by the individual institutions and concerns. Can you spend so much of money for these kind of transactions and these kind of platforms? Third, governance issue. As I said, I have already discussed governance issue. Governance issue will remain in the future also. And of course, the masses, we have to take along the masses. So these are some of the challenges. Of course, we are very ambitious. India is very ambitious that we are doing well in the digitalization front, and by 25 we'll have our 23% of our GDP coming from digital economy. Now, in this digital economy, which are the sectors are prominent? E-commerce is the first thing. I'm sure each one of you purchased through some e-commerce platform, Amazon, Flipkart. These are very, popular names across the cities and, urban and rural areas, cities and villages. Even I suppose even a individual in a village also order an, product through Amazon or Flipkart. And people are happy about its services, its prices, comfort kind of. So e-commerce has actually gone very deep inside to the business and our whole nation and economy. So what amount of transaction that is happening face to face or physical mode? I think digital transaction or e-commerce transaction has gone a long way, and it is now challenging the whole physical mode. This is one thing. So e-commerce is a very important area of digitalization which has impacted each one of us. Second, we have digital communication services. Again, is the very important area where digitalization has happened. Then there are certain other areas like IT sector and business processes. These are also areas where healthcare again is going for digital kind of services. Then farmers. I would also like to focus a bit on the farmers or the agriculturist. How digitalization can help farmers or the people in the rural areas. I think if these can be digital platforms or digitalizations or connectivity can be used in a positive way, this can help to double the farmers' income. There are a lot of potential that it will help to double the farmers' income. Are you getting my point? If we can harness the digital potential for the farmers. For example, if we give them information about market, about their product prices, about the demand, etc., then definitely they will be able to provide the things in time and at market price, and they will be benefiting. And also, what are the government grants and subsidies are available? What kind of facilities and what kind of financial as well as other facilities are to be provided by the government that can be accessed. So this kind of support, and of course this will require a kind of literacy. Literacy means agriculturist, I'm sure, not so much of educated, but if there is a voluntary kind of skilling and training given by the at the village level, at the panchayat level, in each and every state, I am sure this digitalization will help even the farmers to double their income. Financial services, I would not discuss much about financial services because finance or financial services is a very big sector, and fintech and financial services have taken a very big way in the digital platform. Each and every individual in terms of financial services are interacting online, are purchasing, buying, selling online. So financial services are actually have gone a very big way in the post pandemic, and henceforth going forward we have this trend is now visible. If I talk about entrepreneurship, for example, now there is a new wave of entrepreneurship in India, which is called startup ecosystem. Now, both central government and many state governments are focusing more on, startups and entrepreneurial activities, and that is now need of the hour. Now, in startup and entrepreneurial ecosystem also, digitalization now is being linked, and how this digitalization can harness the benefit to the startups. You know, uh, this is again an important. Coming to another very important sector, that is small scale sector. Small scale industries are the largest number of employment providers in India, and since it is largest number of employment providers in India, and it has a very large number in terms of crores, I am sure in many states and many localities, there are large number of MSMEs. But so far as digitalization is concerned, MSMEs are not very, comfort in a very comfortable position to adopt this digitalization. Now, question is, if MSMEs are not able to harness the potential of digitalization, what sort of government support and policies are there for MSMEs to harness this advantage of this digital innovation, digital platform, and digitalization? For example, I give you an example. Big business houses, they are buying, selling their products or supplying their products to digital transactions. But can small scale industries also harness this potential? Answer is yes. Can it be cost effective? Answer is yes. So you have to find, or we have to find out some, ways and some means by which we can also small scale industries can also go in a digital platform, digital transaction mode. What is their product that can be this information can be availed by the customers around the corner. It's not that this is a small scale industry here and will produce locally and sell locally, but customers from other parts also can see this product and can actually order this product if we have a kind of digital information or digital platform. So these are the benefits we have to think on, how we can integrate the whole nation into the digital system. It is not that only big business houses like Amazon and Flipkart are doing, but what about the farmers and the MSMEs? Are we thinking on this line? And what policy support, what kind of mechanism, what financial support? If we don't do that, then it will be a problem. Even if we have a very good share of GDP from digital economy, but then it will create a dichotomy. It will create a digital haves and digital haves, and it will again accentuate the inequality. So my concern as an economist, these sort of things must be addressed both at the national and at the state level. And as an academician, as an individual, we should also be very focused and also very concerned about this. It's not that we are only seeing the greener aspect of this, good part of this. What are the challenges? What are the negative aspect of it that we have to address? So I hope till now it is okay with all of you. You are finding it. Am I very clearly audible to all of you till now? Am I audible to all of you?
Yeah, yes, audible.
Thank you, sir. So see, this is the data I am showing. This is the data I am showing for 2025. What will be the growth of the growth of the e-commerce business by 2025? So if we see that, I have also taken small and medium enterprises, that is the sky, that is the blue color line. So if we see that SMEs selling online, it has already started actually, and henceforth going forward, it is showing a positive trend. So small scale and medium enterprises are also have, I mean, started these digital kind of transactions, and henceforth it will go more and more, and it is a positive trend. So by 2025, we'll see that this growth is further happening. Second, e-commerce platform, e-commerce turnover. E-commerce turnover, you see green line, that is growing over the period of time. And post-pandemic, it has grown, and I'm sure by 2025, again, it will grow further. Third, so one is e-commerce turnover and another is e-commerce selling. So green is the selling and red is the turnover. So these are showing the similar trend, and this is the data taken from not from India. This is from European Commission. So what will be the trend for India? So if global trend is going like this, definitely India cannot be also a laggard in this direction. Are you getting my point? So there is a very huge positive trend by 2025, and India is also following the same trend, similar trend. Coming to further aspects of this digitalization indicators and business digitalization. So if we see electronic information, social media, big data, cloud. So what is happening to these all these social media, big data, and cloud? Because social media is one of the important aspect of the digitalization and digital platform. Then big data has come in a very big way, and all the including government agencies also now looking towards AI, ML, big data, etc. So we cannot actually now escape from these kind of developments that has happened. So what is the trend for big data? You see green line. The green line is showing the trend for the big data, and it is growing in a very big way. So any business, any company are actually have to have access of the big data and use the big data for its own purposes. Cloud computing, whatever information, data that we need to keep within our devices and with our systems. Now, these data can be stored in the cloud. So there are availability of cloud. So this whole system of digital innovation that has happened, and that is growing, both big data, cloud, social media, these are showing a positive trend. And since these are showing a very high and positive growing trend, definitely these will also lead to growth of the business, growth of the economy, and employment opportunities, investment opportunities. So henceforth, from this slide, I would a bit focus more on investment opportunities that is coming to the countries, as in terms of foreign direct investment. So we have employment opportunities, we have investment opportunities. So what is the trend of the investment? Foreign direct investment means a foreign country is investing in India, or a foreign company is investing here. So this is what is the foreign direct investment. So should it be closed or should it be allowed? So if we close the foreign direct investment, then it will be, it will be very difficult for us to achieve our several economic targets. So we need FDI actually. We cannot close the door for FDI. So what is the trend of the FDI pre-pandemic? You see, pre-pandemic, it has come down. and due to pandemic, it has actually come down. But now again, post-pandemic, the global trend of FDI started rising. It has come down to a very low level. You see the decline. The decline was very fast. It has come down to very low level, and then again it is now trending towards a rise. So I have given some numbers, some 1.5 trillion in 2019, and it has actually come down 20% downfall from 2009. And these of course has a relation to pandemic, but at the same time there are also financial crisis, recession, etc. So both, and now again Ukraine Russia crisis, all these are actually combined together that FDI has gone down. And now slowly the trend has started again rising. You see, without movement of capital, without receiving capital, it will really be difficult to grow our economy. Both not only India, many other countries. So at the global platform, global level, it is a good sign that FDI has started increasing. If we see the country or region-wise flow, then I would focus more on the developing part. Now, developing part, unfortunately, investment is very low, FDI. But if we see the developed economies, that is the green line, and the transition economies, that is the gray line, they are much higher. But if we see the developing economies, it is at the bottom. So what idea we are getting from here? FDI is growing, but so far as developing countries are concerned, they are receiving lesser and lesser FDI. Now, question is why they are receiving less and less FDI? Answer is, it's not that countries don't want to invest, or it's not that countries don't want to receive. Problem lies elsewhere. The infrastructure, the policy, the ease of doing business, all these things are not put in place in developing countries. So that is why they are human resources, their technology innovation. So good investment will only happen when you have all the reforms have been enabled in those countries. So this is the implication that developing countries have to go a long way again if we want to receive more and more FDI. So at India level, what I would say, definitely compared to many other developing countries, we are doing very well. And recently we have received one of the highest FDI globally. We are doing, as an individual country, we are doing very well. But our ease of doing business parameters, indicators, our legal infrastructure, our polity, that is the political stability, and law and order, those things have to be very stable. If you don't have a very stable law and order situation, if you don't have a very stable political situation, how you suppose that people will come and invest? So this is a learning lesson for us. We have to, so enablers are to be put in place by the government or by the state or by the stakeholders. Otherwise, investment will not come. Even within India, if we go region wise, why investment more happens in Maharashtra or Gujarat or some part of the country? Why not in Northeast? So answer is physical infrastructure. Do we have that kind of physical infrastructure? Do we have that kind of financial infrastructure? Do we have that kind of skilled manpower? Do we have that kind of market developed, transportation developed? So everything will have to be developed simultaneously, and political stability, of course, is a very important, law and order and political stability. So put in place all these together, definitely we as a nation are thriving. And I am sure many of the other parts of the country will receive now investments, because we are now very determined to get more investments in every part of every nook and corner of the country. It's not that only some developed states get. and laggards are lagging behind. We cannot leave those, regions or those states to lag behind further. We have to be proactive. So this is how we can bring more FDI into the economies. Now, flows again in terms of some dollar numbers. I'm not going to detail out these numbers. You can see, I'll share this PPT after my presentation with Professor Singh, Professor Bhartendu. And if he likes, he can, or if you want to get this presentation, you can get from him. All these numbers are written here. Some numbers are given, which regions are having how much of inflow. And if we just randomly see that inflow in the developed economies are very high, 749, while in the developing countries, we are not very less. It is 723. So we are actually now competing with the developed part of the world to receive the FDI. So that means we are now prepared, somewhat prepared. And henceforth, I am very pragmatic. I am very positive that we'll now do more well. Image of India as a nation by Prime Minister Modi has gone a long way. So now countries have started believing in us. Our performance during pandemic and our proactive measures and performance as well as success has resulted in believing, other nations are now believing in us, and that's why we are receiving more FDI. Ukraine-Russia crisis, we have shown a kind of very high degree of neutrality. We are not biased. We are very neutral. And at the same time, we are very much committed to our needs and requirements. So at the cost of neutrality, we cannot be sacrificing our own needs. So that's what, again, our Prime Minister Modi and the Foreign Minister and Foreign Secretary has demonstrated. Recently, Indian origin Prime Minister of United Kingdom, again, is a very good, signaling to the outer world that, look, India has a capability. So all these factors, I think, are contributing to us and will be receiving more and more investment. So COVID-19 impact on private investment. I would now come down to private investment. It was an overall investment, FDI, but if I look into the private investment, what has happened? Several sectors, actually, private investment has gone down, and which is not a good trend, because investment has two aspects. One is government investment, other is private investment. So both private and government investment has to go hand in hand. Otherwise, actually, if only government investment is going on or improving, but if private investment does not happen, then we'll not have optimum amount of results. So private investment in healthcare, in food and agriculture, in education, in renewable energy, and in infrastructure has gone down, which is not very good trend. So as this pandemic has reduced the private investment on infrastructure. So if you talk about a good roads, good bridges, creating an electricity project or renewable energy project, both private investment is also needed, not only government, because government alone cannot do the needful. So you have to understand that private investment is needed at a very large scale, and private investment both from India, within India, and from abroad. So but you see, due to pandemic, infrastructure investment has gone down by 54%, renewable energy -8%, and health sector -54%, food and agriculture -14%, and education. So if this has happened, I'm sure now this trend is again reviving. But all this sector must now start receiving FDI. Must now start receiving investment from the private houses. I give you a few examples. You might have heard about that Adani has started operation of flights in different parts of the country, including Northeast India. So it is giving a boost to the connectivity by a private house in terms of aviation services to different parts of the country. Adani has set up a very high amount of power plants in certain locations of the country. So it is again improving infrastructure. So private investments are needed, actually. These are few examples, but many more private investment has to come in different states of the country, and state governments have to be proactive towards that to receive the investment. That's how we can actually come out from the, or we can reap the benefits from this post-pandemic. Trend is very positive. FDI trend is very positive, and we are growing in numbers. 21 figures shows that compared to 2022, 2020, in 2021 we have had a very good growth. I am sure in 2020 figures, I don't have with me 2022 figures, but it must have grown further. So we are growing. Country wise, if you see from where we are getting more, it is Mauritius, Singapore, USA. They are the highest investors in terms of FDI. And inflow, which country is receiving more, you can also percentage of total inflow, you can see Mauritius, Singapore, USA, etc. Then sectors, which sectors are more FDI prone? Service sector is very, very important, computer and hardware. So we have edge, India and Indian states have edge, both in service sector and computer and telecommunications. Then we have trading, construction, automobile industry, etc. So first 2-3 sectors, we have a very strong edge. We are very good in service sector. We are very good in IT and software sector. So we can actually take a role in the both national and global platform. So I would like to stop here because the session has to end by 3, and I have another meeting at 3. So whatever I have discussed, I just wind up in 2 lines, and I would then request Professor Singh to take ahead of this discussion. And if any participants want to contribute something in terms of, some observations, some points, or some questions of interaction, we have another 10 minutes. I'd be more than happy to interact with you. And unfortunately, I am not visible due to some technical glitch, I think, in my system or my IT system. Unfortunately, I could not show my face. However, we'll meet somewhere in some other time in some platform. My email ID and phone number I'll text in the chat box. Professor Singh, kindly you can take ahead.
Thank you, sir. So that was a nice presentation. Although we couldn't see you, but we could see very clearly your PPT. Sir, your email address already participants are having. I have already shared your email with them. So participants, you may directly send. Okay, now he has given it here also in chat box. So mobile number and email address. So if you are having anything, you can contact him directly. And sir, there is only one question which came so far, so that we can take up. The question is, sir, as a result of COVID-19, the stock market is also badly suffered, and still then the stock market is trying to revive. So he wants your opinion on this.
Okay, very good question. Actually, I could not cover the stock market or financial market in my presentation because I have restricted only to the FDI and only to the digitalization. However, it is a very good question, and I am aware about this stock market and financial market in India. Now, post-pandemic, again, I said that another very big problem has occurred in the world level, that is the Russia-Ukraine war. And Russia-Ukraine war has actually shaken the whole world groupings in terms of Europe, America, Arabic countries, and then Russia and India. Now, in this whole global system, when things have happened, now there are a lot of restrictions.
So your voice, you are not audible.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, yes,
okay.
fine now, sir.
Okay, so what is happening, due to this war, Russia-Ukraine war, there are a lot of groupings have changed, and there are a lot of, restrictions by the European to Russian, and similarly, their allies and their, what you can say, non-allies are also falling in line in this groupism. And accordingly, so far as, investments, company investments are concerned, or they are, profitability. There are certain things like investment, profitability, sales. Those are the basic indicators of companies. Now, many many companies of many sectors like IT sector, like banking sector, like energy sector companies, like FMCG sector. So in several sectors, if you look into their achievements in terms of sales, in terms of revenue growth, in terms of profit growth, many companies are actually suffering. Second, they are not very, confident now to take up new investment, because there is a mindset that they are not sure if they take up the investment whether it will be profitable or not, because the situation is like this. So in this context, this uncertainty is actually reflected in the stock market and financial market in each and every individual stocks. If you take, for example, Reliance stocks, you see it is not gaining so much of traction, and it is actually not gaining. So it is advisable, stock market for some time for 2022 is a bit volatile, highly volatile, due to these uncertainties. Global uncertainties is percolating down to each and every company level, and it is advisable to each and every individual investor. If any one of you are investing in stock market, kindly do not invest now. This is not a good time. You have to see, because economic forecast and business forecast is very low, both by global bodies like World Bank, IMF, and it will may go down, it may be volatile, it may be recessionary trend. So I think it will take some time for global community to get confidence, and companies also to get confidence, not only one sector, many sectors, many companies, and hence situation will improve maybe in the beginning of the, or at least some part of the 2022. Let us wait and see. This is not a time to make any major decisions, major investment decisions, or major business decisions. That is my take, very briefly, that I would share with all the participants, that it is a time to watch and see in the financial market and also in the stock market. I hope I could address your query, to the participants' query.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your answer. And we don't have any other question. And you have to attend a meeting also. Now it is almost 3. So,
Thank
so I
you.
think better
Thank
we
you, sir.
conclude this
Thank you.
session here itself. Thank you, sir, for joining. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to you, and also to my friend Professor Jainal from NEHU, who connected me with you. Convey my best wishes and greetings to him also.
Oh, sure, sir.
I will talk over phone, and I'm sorry, really sorry for rescheduling my time.
No, it's okay, sir. It's okay. Time. Last moment, it happens sometime.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
See, yeah. I'll mail you this PPT. You can share with the participants.
Okay,
Maybe
sure,
by
sir.
today night, I'll share it.
Okay, sure, sir.
Bye.
Bye. So, dear friends, now the next session will be taken by Professor Dr. Ved Prakash.